Starting on February the 16th and running until February the 24th, the Manitoba Theatre for Young People, in collaboration with Le Petit Théâtre de Sherbrooke and Le Parenthèse Ensemble from France, will be presenting a show that gets children and parents thinking about the cultural stereotypes we often project on ourselves and others. The Problem with Pink is a show that explores such cultural issues as gender stereotypes, tolerance, openness, diversity, and living together. It asks the question, what happens when four guy dude bros discover that something they like is typically associated with girls? Does that matter? And should what they like now be considered taboo because of the way other people might perceive them? And here to tell me more about MTYP's presentation of The Problem with Pink, I am joined once again by Sarah Flynn, who is Artistic Associate for the MTYP. Hey, Sarah, nice to have you here.
Thanks for having me back.
So last time we talked, it wasn't that long ago, we were talking about Polypop, presented by MTYP and Brush Theatre. I have to ask, how was the run of Polypop and how were the audiences?
Oh, it was amazing. It was such a high energy, wild show that just the kids were jumping out of their seats in joy and enjoyment of watching that show. It was great.
Sounds fantastic. And starting tomorrow, MTYP collaborates once again, this time with Le Petit Théâtre de Sherbrooke and Le Parenthèse Ensemble, which are from France. Can you tell me about those two ensembles? What are they and what are they about?
So they both actually work primarily in dance-based theaters. So La Parenthèse is in France, and they started in 2000. So they've been making work for 24 years. They've made more than 25 creations. They've toured all over Europe, and now they're working with Le Petit Théâtre de Sherbrooke, which is in Sherbrooke, Quebec, which is a similar company, except they focus on the dance theater, but for young people. So they make all of their work with the goal of having it being performed before young people, but they still do all that like multidisciplinary, like visual and physical languages and creating that kind of art. So they have similar art styles, and then they're focusing it on theater for young audiences.
And presenting it to young people.
Yeah.
Can you give us a synopsis of the show? And while you're doing it, can you touch on some of the social issues that the four boys are faced to deal with in the production?
Yeah, so essentially the show starts out and you're in this sort of weird little pink world, and these four boys come on and they show you the ways that they're friends and that they play and tell stories in this pink world that they have, that they call it a square, they call it comfortable, and they just tell stories and create these images and these worlds together. And then suddenly they start hearing things from the outside world. And they go and they discover what that is and they bring it back. And then they suddenly realize when somebody says that pink is for girls. And they're like, oh, well, then we can't like it. They start calling it pale red in an attempt to find a way to like it and to still be able to love that thing that they used to love. And then they sort of end up grappling with this together and trying to figure out how to move forward and be who they are, but also consider the way the world wants them to be.
Yeah. Do they overcome these issues, in particular with the color of pink?
I'd say yes and no. I think it depends upon the character and where they end up at the end of the show. But they work through a lot of issues together through, storytelling and dance and movement and in different like little groups of 2 or groups of 3 within the 4. And I think they all have a different perspective by the end that sort of allows a little bit more choice depending on where you are as an audience member.
One of the things that I found really interesting is that the playwright Erica Tremblay-Roy wrote the show for 3 boys and 1 girl. It actually specifies that on the front of the script. The idea being that the girl actually plays one of the male characters. This adds to sort of one of the overall themes of the show of gender identity, right?
So it starts off where they're all, there's these 4 boys that are playing. And then at one point, one of them goes, well, you're a girl. And she's like, but why does it matter? And then it sort of shows you the ways in which young people can kind of find one thing that's different about you and focus on it. And that can be what just completely ostracizes you from a group. And it's just this tiny little difference, because otherwise they play the same, they act the same, they dance the same, they dress the same. They're all the same otherwise.
Right.
But she's a girl.
So Therefore different.
Therefore different.
And it sort of deals with these preconceived notions of gender, yes, but I also think for myself, back to middle school, for example, a time in our lives when children, let's just say, can be less than nice to each other, and finding their niche in the world is sometimes very difficult. In this play, exploring acceptance, living together, and being yourself regardless of what others might think is paramount, right?
Definitely. I mean, they really all have such a unique characterization of their characters in this show that you see the big differences between them and the ways in which they have to sort of fight against, what they actually want versus what their friend says is cool and what they want to do. So then they're like, oh, well, I'll go with him. But then that leaves somebody else out for whatever reason that they have. And like they're really mean to each other, but they're also really loving to each other, and they talk and they learn and they grow, and it's beautiful.
So, I mean, the idea of Pink and one of the characters actually being a girl, it has to do with, like, again, I'm going back to middle school, it's like whether or not you have the right kind of jacket or how tall you are or what you look like, right? Like there's a lot of parallels in that way.
Anything that can make you different or special is sometimes it's a bad thing, but also sometimes it's, the powerful thing that gets you through, that helps you teach the other ones that it's okay to be yourself and it's okay to, be a girl or to like pink.
It seems like a down-the-line hitter for classrooms. I have to ask, are there group classes coming to see the productions? And can you talk about when the performances are for the public are?
Yeah, so during the week, we have school shows almost every day of the week that various schools have already signed up to come and see. There is still some space as far as I'm aware. So if there's any teachers listening that are like, that sounds cool, I want to bring my kids, we got room for shows tomorrow and Friday and all next week as well. And then the public performances are on the weekends. So we start Friday night, and then we got shows on Saturday and Sunday, and then the following Saturday and Sunday as well. Lots of chances to catch this.
And it seems like such a no-brainer for teachers to bring their classroom to, right? It deals with exactly that, acceptance and how to live with people and deal with people.
Totally, how to embrace your differences, how to, cultivate friendships, how to communicate with people that you care about.
And how differences can sometimes be a great thing.
Exactly.
Before we wrap it up, I know from our previous conversations that I'm really interested in sets and costumes for the productions. I've seen pictures of this show. Aside from the pink carpet, there are what look like flower petals on stage. And there's a picture I saw where it's the four boys standing around a well, amongst other things. Who did the sets and props for the show, and how are they used in the play?
So the set was done by an artist in Montreal named Julia Bonlot. And she's created this beautiful world that they both stand on this pink world as well as on the outsides of it, and it moves up, and then suddenly they're in this other world, and it really allows them to travel from this known place that they have to this unknown, to then discover what they actually want in life and what they want in themselves, and then to go back to that original place and be changed by this experience that they've had. And the costumes are really beautiful, and they're for dancers so they can move in them, but they sort of have just this youthful play to them that fits with the characters really well.
And is it flower petals, or am I
like
looking
these
at the
weird flower stems that kind of look like mushrooms, but they get like knocked over, but they're really protective over them, so they like pick them back up. And yeah, they're cool. They're like, they show you the ways in which these four characters care for the space that they love so much, that they've built these stories in, that they play in every day together.
Oh, fantastic. The Problem with Pink sounds like it's going to be an amazing and engaging show. Where can people go to find out more details about showtimes, etc.?
Everything's always on MTYP.ca. You just got to click on the show under either shows, or for educators if you're looking for school shows. And you can always call us and talk to the box office, or come on down to MTYP at the Forks.
Perfect. Sarah, as always, this has just been so much fun to have you here talking to us about the fantastic things that MTYP is doing. Thanks so much for stopping by and telling me about The Problem with Pink.
Thanks
You're welcome
for having
back anytime.
me again. Okay, I will.